Okay, Natasha. Corona and lockdown have affected us all.
On both a business and personal level.
We are all feeling worried, lost, and frustrated.
There is very little we can control at the moment.
But we want you to know that Professional Beauty
and Salon International are here for you.
We do webinars, articles, and seminars
to help you get through these tough times.
Our business is at the heart of the industry.
We are in this together.
We will recover.
And we will come back stronger than before.
There we go. Awesome. And welcome to this wonderful webinar that we are organizing for you today. My name is Phil Woods from Professional Beauty, and this is part of a series of webinars that we've been doing whilst enjoying lockdown. We have a few housekeeping things for you. We have the chat area, which is on your left. Please feel free to use that to say hello, etc. And at the bottom of the screen, there is your tab for the Q&A, which is where if you have questions for our speaker, then please put them there. If you put questions in the chat area, they do tend to get a little lost. So thank you for that. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce to you René Moodley from Goodleaf. René is a very clever person with a PhD, and she is going to tell us all about CBD and unravel some of the mysteries of that. So, René, are you there?
I am here, Phil.
There we go.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. There we go. Look, that's wonderful. I have to say, René, that I was going to have a lot of fun with this topic. You know, with our marketing team, I was suggesting we have pictures of rastas and big images of our minister, Adam Zuma, talking about Zol and all of that sort of stuff. But realized that maybe it's not entirely appropriate because I don't think that's all that it's about, is it really? So hopefully you can tell us a little bit more about it. But I see we've got Celeste Peters on. If anybody else wants to say hello quickly on the chat, do please go on. Tell us where you're from. Show us something. Go on. No. They're all shy, René, apart from Celeste. Oh, there we go. Glynis, hello from Durban. There we go. There's a few more. So that's nice. Yeah. Okay, René, do please say hi to the audience and let us know a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'm really excited to be speaking to all of you about CBD today. And like Phil said at the beginning, you know, yeah, we all are in this together. Everyone's trying to do their bits. And yeah, I hope that you get something useful out of this talk today. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. And oh yeah, just Phil, I wish I had a PhD. I have an honors degree in biochemistry.
Oh, sorry.
But yes, so I've been in the scientific industry and nutrition industry for over 20 years. So I'm really hoping that this talk will be good for you. And if you have any sort of, you know, comments, questions, fears, I'd love to hear about it. So I'm actually going to share my screen with you now, and I've got just a few slides that basically explain it a little bit better, and just try to show you basically where we are sitting currently in the world of CBD. So I'm just going to try to share my screen quickly. Okay, here we go. Can everybody see that?
We're getting there.
Yeah.
There we are. Yeah, we can see it.
Just let me know when you can see it. Okay.
We can see.
Perfect. Okay, so basically, okay, cool. So I'm just going to talk briefly about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about the global impact of CBD. So basically what cannabis and CBD means around the world. We'll demystify cannabis a little bit. We'll talk about what is, like, you know, Phil said, is it like Zol? What are we doing? Are we smoking it? What is the difference between cannabis, marijuana, hemp, the whole lot? Like, where does it all fit in? What is the legislation? What is compliant? What does the science say? You know, how does it actually relate to beauty? What's it got to do with beauty? We'll look at global wellness trends where CBD is being used, and then we'll talk a little bit about CBD in the time of COVID as well. So just to give you an example, or just to give you an understanding of actually what the global legal cannabis market is forecast to be worth, we're looking at figures as much as $104 billion by the year 2024. And that, for the most part, will be driven by the medicinal cannabis market, which will make up approximately 60% of that. Now, those are big numbers. So, you know, we often get asked the question, you know, is this a hype? Is this something that is a trend? Is it something that's, a fad, and it's here one day, gone the next? And I mean, when you look at numbers like this, I think you can agree that definitely not. And especially because, I mean, we have our recreational market where people are smoking, you know, recreationally in their own homes. But what we're actually seeing globally around the world is that it's actually the researched medicinal market that is starting to contribute significantly to these figures. If we look at the European market, that's set alone to be worth around $39 billion in the next couple of years. If we look at Asia, we're talking around 12.5 billion, where you can see again the medicinal market actually makes up more of that, and a very small part of it is actually recreational. Sorry, is there a question?
No, I think it was Natasha hadn't muted a microphone. Don't worry.
No problem. And so where does that leave us in Africa? So interestingly, the African Cannabis Report basically says that the legal African cannabis market in Africa is estimated to be worth around $7.1 billion by 2023. Now, those are really big numbers. And again, when you compare it to just the pharmaceutical market in Africa alone, which is expected to reach 45 billion by 2020, you can see that the legal cannabis market is taking up quite a significant part of that. And also, as you know, urbanization increases. It is believed that this will also drive sales. And it's also interesting to note that in terms of cannabis usage, the prevalence rates in Africa is one of the highest consumption rates in the world. So now, my favorite topic, and something I get asked about all the time, is basically, is marijuana, hemp, and cannabis all of the same thing? And I'm sure that if I had to ask a lot of you right now, you know, how do you group this? How do you see this? A lot of you would probably say yes. We do think that it is the same thing. We associate it in the same way. But I'm sure that you will agree, when we talk about something like hemp, it's something you've known about for ages, right? We get hemp clothing. We've got body products that have got hemp seed oil in it that we've known for ages. So we do understand, for the most part, that hemp is something that has been grown or cultivated for industrial use. So if we had to look at cannabis or Cannabidiaceae as a genus, within the genus, there are actually different species, and within those species are different variants. So it's quite important to note that hemp as a variety and marijuana as a variety are actually two quite different things. Hemp is predominantly known for being very high in CBD as well as other cannabinoids. And very importantly, hemp is low in THC. So these are quite tongue twisters here. CBD being cannabidiol or pronounced cannabidiol, and THC being tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, basically, all you have to take away from this is that THC is actually so we would refer to it as the psychostimulant component. Sometimes people refer to it as a psychoactive component. But essentially what this means is that if a product has got high levels of THC, that will make you high. Hemp on its own as a variety and when it's grown does not have high levels of THC. In fact, it's got very little, as little as 0.3%, and some varieties have even less than that. Marijuana, on the other hand, has got very high concentrations of THC, and this can range between 5 to 35%. So if you are using a CBD product, or if you are considering using a CBD product, it's also extremely important that you understand, is the product hemp derived or is it marijuana derived? You can derive CBD from marijuana, and you can put it through an extensive process of filtration and purification and extraction. But the chances are that because it's so high in THC, you could still have significant traces of THC present. So that is important to note. At Goodleaf, we obviously only use our, all of our products are hemp derived. So this is basically just summarizing what I said just now. And yeah, it's like I said, CBD has a variety of uses, other than the hemp itself being used for clothing and the hemp seed being used for cosmetics. CBD as a whole has got an array of therapeutic benefits, which we will speak about. So, South African legislation. Our government has been, we've been, I know, and all of the things changing, and we've actually just had a slight change of legislation with regards to CBD as well 2 days ago. But I'm just going to take you through what's currently legal and like how this process evolved. So you would probably know that around October 2018, it was legal in South Africa to actually smoke marijuana privately in your own home. But as far as actually getting products to use from a pharmacy, online, or through retail stores, in May 2019, the Department of Health, along with SAHPRA, which is the South African Health Products Regulatory Association or Authority, actually ruled that CBD would be scheduled as a zero, which means you don't need a prescription to get it, as long as somebody did not take more than 20 milligrams per day, and as long as the product didn't contain more than 0.001% of THC. So it's really important that any supplier that you would have been getting it from obviously comply to these regulations, and that the milligrams were stipulated clearly on the bottle, so that somebody knew how much that they could actually take. So about 2 days ago, SAHPRA slightly amended the regulations. It doesn't affect as much at Goodleaf as a company. So it's still, certain products are still considered Schedule 0 as long as there are no claims being made and maximum dosage of 20 milligrams per day is adhered to, and the products contain less than 0.01% of THC. What has changed are the pack sizes are now under consideration, and it's currently under review as to whether or not 600 milligrams should be the optimum pack size, but I doubt that it's going to become 100% enforced, because people could buy 2 or 3 bottles or 5 bottles, and they would end up with whatever milligrams they wanted to. Essentially, the thing is that you just need to make sure that somebody is taking 20 milligrams per day. In terms of quality and compliance, it's also very important, if you are using a CBD product, to actually consider whether the product is local, whether it's been imported. So the rules about CBD actually vary quite a lot around the world. So in the US and the UK, for example, they have completely different laws surrounding THC. So they are allowed, for example, to use products that contain as much as 0.3% of THC. We in South Africa are not allowed to do that. So, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes manufacturers import this unknowingly. They're not aware that, you know, the product contains a higher amount of THC. They white label it, they put it on the shelves, and unfortunately, it ends up imparting a risk on the end user, especially if you're an athlete and you go for a drug test. Or even if you're a business that buys it yourself, if the THC is unfortunately higher than a certain level and it hasn't been tested correctly, you know, it could result in problems, and it does impart a risk. So it's very important if you are using a CBD product to actually check and understand the source and where it's coming from. Make sure that all the necessary tests have been done. So you'll see something on there called GMP, and that basically stands for Good Manufacturing Practice. So you also have to ensure that any CBD products that you made, that you're purchasing have been made in a GMP compliant facility. You have to ensure that it's traceable, that it's got batch numbers, that you can trace it back to the source. You've got to check the integrity of goods that have been imported. And it's really important as well that third-party testing is done. So like, for example, us as a manufacturer, we use a GMP compliant facility, and then we still send it to a third-party testing lab to get an independent view that is not our view and that is not the view of the manufacturer, but a completely third-party independent view to prove and show that the product is safe, that the THC levels are below what they're supposed to be, that the CBD is intact, and that there is no residual solvents, dioxins, or anything negative or anything dangerous in the product that shouldn't be there. Another question we often get asked, does this actually work? Is there science behind it? You know, is this, a lot of people think it's a psychosomatic thing, and you know, we should just take CBD because people say so, but it doesn't actually work. There's no proof, there's no results that, you know, is there scientific research? How does it work in your body? What does it bind to? So research actually tells us that we have something in our bodies called an endocannabinoid system. Now, it was discovered quite late, only in 1988, but basically it is a system of complex receptors, and we, in our bodies, we naturally produce endocannabinoids that actually bind to these receptors. These receptors, CB1 and CB2, they're distributed along our central nervous system and our peripheral nervous system. Now, our central nervous system is basically everything that you know will control your motor activity, thinking, your motor coordination, your appetite, short-term memory, pain perception, and all of that. Your CB2 receptors generally, which are displayed around your peripheral nervous system, would control things like your kidneys, your liver, skin and bones, your eyes, your reproductive system, your immune system, your respiratory tract, and your skin health as well. So that is how the different receptors actually work, and it is something that, like I say, it's been discovered quite late, but the benefits of it and the benefits of actually activating your endocannabinoid system and actually utilizing it has phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal effects in terms of our well-being and our health, as well as our motor and cognitive abilities. So there are really two major words that if you could take away from this presentation, that you could. Sorry, can everybody still hear me? I don't know, it says unstable. Am I still on?
Yeah, we missed you. We lost a little bit about 30 seconds ago.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure, it just said unstable for a second. Okay, so basically, just to go back, if there's two important words that you take out of today's presentation, that would be homeostasis and immunomodulator. A homeostasis basically means it brings about balance. And that is why CBD is such a fantastic immunomodulator. You know, there's a lot of theories where people go through it and they say when they Google CBD, one of the things they find is that it can be an immunosuppressant. What does that mean? How does it work? And basically, what we found and what research has found is that it's actually an immunomodulator. Sample. What happens is our bodies overreact and it overresponds, and the immune response is actually what would cause all the inflammation in our pathways when you have allergies or hay fever, for example, and your immune system is overreacting to some pollen that you've inhaled, for example, and everything gets inflamed and you start sneezing. That's basically an inflammatory process. And by bringing about balance through homeostasis and immunomodulation, basically what something like CBD will do is it will stop your immune system from overreacting. And we'll go through this a little bit more in detail about what it does in healthy individuals and what it does in immunocompromised individuals as well. But just to assure you that the purpose of the slide is really that this is based on research, it is based on science, and our bodies do have an endocannabinoid system. Again, in terms of what does science say, what does medical research say, there's several studies that have been published already. I've just, pasted some detail from one that was done in the Journal of Pain in 2019. And it basically used a study where they actually were able to find that CBD interacts directly with one of our serotonin receptors, 5-HT1A, and it was directly responsible for reducing anxiety in a rat model that they used. It also showed that CBD treatment resulted in the activation of a receptor called TRPV1, which is found in our peripheral system also, and that this reduced pain or induced analgesia. So basically, again, showing that there is scientific research to indicate that CBD is a promising product that can be used in the treatment of pain and anxiety. As I discussed earlier, in terms of CBD and the immune system, it has been known as an immunosuppressant, and that is why it is great for people that are struggling with things like allergies, or if you've got an autoimmune condition. And that's basically, again, where your immune system is attacking healthy cells, which it shouldn't be doing. And CBD, because it's such a potent anti-inflammatory, can actually assist with overactive immune systems and autoimmune conditions such as psoriasis, asthma, eczema, etc. In terms of pain and inflammation, as I said, it can assist with things like arthritis. And there were even studies done where they used immunocompromised patients with HIV, and it was found that CBD actually improved their immunity. So again, that's why I said really important to think about it as an immunomodulator. It can improve your immune system if you're immunocompromised, but it can also help you to bring it back to balance if your immune system is overreacting or overactive. So what does all of this mean for CBD and beauty? So let's just talk about stats firstly and what this actually means for the beauty market. So it's actually estimated global skincare sales will account, will be CBD sales. So will be CBD skincare sales. And that is a very big number. And the CBD skincare market in 2018, the CBD skincare market in 2018 was said to be around $710 million US. So again, these are very big numbers. And as we go forward, I think we can start to see CBD, appearing more and more and more in beauty products. Now, as far as, the question that we often get asked about, is this a fad, is this a trend? I think it's really important to kind of understand what, if you are using CBD in skincare, again, is it a functional product and has it been based on some sort of scientific theory, or again, is it a fad? So just to give you an example, at Goodleaf, for example, we get asked sometimes to make products like shampoos, You know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it probably has lots of benefits. But we just, you know, we try to make products as far as possible that are actually functional, because in the case of a shampoo, you know, how long is it going to stay on your skin? It might actually end up being washed down the drain because you're washing it off, right? So if we are considering CBD and beauty products, as far as what's going to stay and what's going to last and what is actually going to have, you know, lasting effect within the beauty industry, we'd like to think that it's going to be a really functional product that's driving up, putting CBD in absolutely everything. So for the most part, when you are considering beauty products as well, try to consider products that you think, you know what, this is actually going to have a function and a benefit. It's not just a buzzword. It's actually something that's got research behind it. So there was, you know, for the beauty industry, I thought this was quite an interesting clinical trial that was done in Italy, University of Modena, where they looked at a great group of patients aging from 20 to 80 years old that had sort of different skin conditions, such as atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, different kinds of cutaneous blemishes, and acne scars. And they started treating these patients with CBD enriched ointment. And what they actually found after several weeks was significant improvement in their skin conditions. If you look at the kinds of things that they considered, they looked at the skin hydration, they looked at TEWL, which is the transepidermal water loss, they looked at elasticity, they did clinical questionnaires with the patients, they used photographic data and actually investigators' clinical assessment of actually going through and looking at the patients. And the results actually showed that topical treatment with CBD-enriched ointment significantly improved the skin parameters and the symptoms, and also those associated with the PASI index score, which is like a psoriasis indicator, essentially. It was also really interesting to note that during the study, there were no irritant or allergic reactions that were documented during the treatment period. Are there any questions on that before I continue? Okay, everybody's still good. Okay.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. So just to talk about some of the trends in CBD and wellness. So I'm not sure who's actually on the call, but some of you, if you are spas, you probably are using CBD in a variety of ways in your spa as well. I mean, if you look around the world now, in some of, you know, the best spas and resorts, they have just introduced the most incredible
We're losing you again, René. Sorry.
Incredible CBD treatments where you come in and you get CBD infused in your tea, you get CBD massages, you finish into the... Sorry, Phil, did you lose me again?
We did just...
Okay, I'll just start from... If you look at some of the most, you know, exotic spas and hotels and resorts around the world. Hi, Phil.
Yeah, we got that bit, and then we lost you. So.
Okay. So yeah, so like I was saying, there are lots of exotic treatments that people are using around the world when guests visit spas or hotels or resorts right now, giving them a complete and utter CBD experience from beginning to the end. So that could be everything from starting with, you know, CBD infused tea, doing a CBD infused massage, doing a CBD infused foot treatment, using it in a facial for acne, and then also ending off with, you know, like sparkling water when the guest leaves for hydration. That's got CBD. In the world have used this. But as I'm sure you guys are not, this is something you have been hearing now since COVID, 1,000 times over, and even before COVID, that retail for your spa is extremely important. an extremely profitable way for you to actually improve your profits in your spa, even if it's not via treatment. So while I'm sure people have been saying to you during the time of COVID, you've got to retail, and do more retail. What's very interesting about CBD, like a lot of the other products that you've obviously seen now coming into the market, I know that as spas you will have seen there's more and more of a move towards holistic nutrition. So it's not only about topicals, it's not only about skin creams and taking care of your skin from the outside. It's also, as you will all know, about what's happening on the inside, right? It's about oral supplements like collagen and supplements to improve your skin. And it's all becoming about what you feed your body. So from a retail perspective, what I just want to say to you is that in this time that we are currently in with COVID, there is not a single person that I've spoken to that has said to me, I'm not anxious, I'm not stressed, I'm not worried about my immune system. Pain just purely from headaches to stress. You know, the skin's acting up because people are stressed and their cortisol levels are going up, and unfortunately it's showing up on their skin, and they're getting acne breakouts and a whole lot of different things that are happening. And CBD is a completely unique health and skin food in this situation. So whether you are using it yourself or whether you're retailing it to a client, it is something that they can actually use for a variety of health reasons right now. And it's a kind of thing that most people are actually looking for. So it's not just about selling them, you know, CBD topicals, which are also great. It's also about just trying to get everyone to breathe a little bit and trying to get, you know, people are just so stressed and so anxious, and something like this can really, really, really help. So, you know, globally now in the time of COVID, what we have found is that CBD product sales have actually increased around the world due to stress and anxiety. Things like beverages and vapes are perceived healthier than alcohol and tobacco. And again, like Phil said, you know, our minister's interesting comments, and the tobacco ban hasn't been lifted yet. So we're also seeing, for example, something like our vapes, which are actually more medicinal. Again, it just allows people to breathe, and they can smoke it in a healthy way and, you know, not be worried about negative consequences and the perceived health risks of things like tobacco and nicotine. Also, beverages have such a great place to play because, okay, the alcohol ban is going to be lifted, but there are a lot of consumers that choose not to drink alcohol anyway because they're just trying to keep their immune systems healthy. And so CBD infused in a beverage is also a really good option right now. So consumers now have options between orals, topical products, vapes, and beverages. And there is so much that you can incorporate on your retail side, you know, for a discerning consumer who's actually just struggling now in the time of COVID. There's also some really, really interesting research that's happening around the world. There are, in fact, there's lots of research happening, and it's also something, it can be controversial because a lot of people came, you know, asking us, can we take CBD to prevent getting coronavirus? And I don't know where that came from, but that's, there's no research to suggest that that is true. However, there is a lot of research being done in treating patients that have already contracted COVID-19 or that already tested positive for the virus. And because the virus attacks your respiratory system and causes so much of inflammation in your airways, what researchers are busy with now are clinical trials on patients that have already got the virus and actually looking at ways in how they can actually decrease this inflammation and actually get them healthier quicker and actually help them fight off the virus now that they've got it. So there are treatments where they are administering CBD separately, and there are treatments where they are administering CBD in combination with steroids to actually see how quickly they can reduce that inflammation. And they are doing it in different ways via inhalation and via other methods of actually getting it into the body. So yeah, so that is very interesting. And yeah, we are really looking forward to seeing how that all pans out, obviously, and we're really looking forward to see the outcomes of those results. You know, as far as how we personally can help you at Goodleaf, please on there so that you can, if there's questions that you have, or if you're a wholesaler, retailer, spa, and you want to know how you can get involved. We have put like some unique things in place to actually help you during this time, because we know it's not easy to actually just go and purchase, at wholesale. So we are here to help you. We're here to talk and figure out what works best for you and your business. And if you're interested in trying it, if you're interested in any of our products, you can actually use the code BEAUTY if you attended the conference today. If you're shopping online on our website, just for your own self, to try and see if you find any benefit from the product. So that is it from me, Phil. I'm really curious to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, we've got a few questions, René. The first one was Michelle asking you to share your details, which you've now done.
Okay.
Gina Govenda has asked, has there been any movement to extend the May 2019 regulations, which lapsed on the 15th?
It actually lapsed on the 22nd. So yes, 2 days ago on the 22nd of May, 2020. So that was Friday evening. So SAHPRA did release the new regulations. And basically, like I said in one of my previous slides, what's currently under review is the pack sizes. So that's for our purposes and for our products, that's the only thing that's really changed. And it's currently under review and under discussion if they are going to want to implement going forward just pack sizes that are 600 milligrams and less. But like I said, it hasn't been enforced in 100% yet, and we are allowed to continue selling our products that exceed 600 milligrams for now. But if there's a concern about it, our vapes, for example, are 250 milligrams. Our beverages have got significantly less than that, and all of our topicals as well, they're around 100 to 220 milligrams per product. But it's certainly still fine to use those drops for 600 milligrams. As far as we are aware, you are allowed to continue selling that until there is a review and a discussion that's taking place now. There's cases and things that are happening, and until that is completely sort of enforced, you are allowed to continue selling product.
Okay. And then we have, is the stipulated THC level of 0.001% applicable for all cannabis products, e.g. cosmetics?
Yes, so I mean, we wouldn't put THC in a topical product anyway. So yes, but all of our topicals don't have any THC in it, and so it's quite a tricky one because THC is, like I said, it's a psychoactive component, so that's something that will mostly affect your cognitive ability, psychostimulants. Whereas something on your skin, what you really want is CBD, because that's the one that's associated with all the health benefits. And like the skin trial that I showed you that was done on people that had psoriasis and eczema and dermatitis and skin conditions and scarring as a result of acne, that was all a result of just purely CBD, and there was no THC in those products.
Okay. Another question, does it help with active acne?
So yes, there's been some interesting discussion on that, and we've actually had clients as well that have used it internally as an inflammatory condition. And because CBD is so good in assisting with inflammation, it's actually been found to be really good for people that are actually taking the drops internally or inhaling it via a vape even. It's actually found even to work from the inside. And then topically, I mean, you could use a moisturizer, like we've got our AM moisturizer, which is clear. There's no sort of additives on that as well. And you could apply that very easily. It's very mattifying. You could actually apply that on your skin if you've got acne. Obviously, we suggest you do a little test patch first, always. If you've got particularly problematic skin, try not to use anything that's got too much oils in it. That's why we've got a cream that is more mattifying that you can use. And yes, we've had a lot of our clients actually use it and come back and say to us that it's actually helped them tremendously from adverse skin conditions, including acne.
Okay. Narinda Nell and also Louise Kutsia basically asking what percentage of CBD in the infused products were used in the clinical trial? In other words, what percentage should it be to be effective?
Yeah, so that was actually different. I don't have the full study in front of me, but I can actually go and have a look, and I can send that to you if they wouldn't mind sending me the email contact details. I can actually send you the full study so that you can actually have a look and see what the percentages were. But if I could quote from a different study that I know that was done for arthritis, and this was done on rats actually, they found that using specific types of gels to actually apply on arthritic rats as little as 6.2 milligrams was actually effective. And they started to see results, if I'm not mistaken, after about 4 or 5 days. So the concentrations are important. But yeah, I will have to go and look at exactly what concentration was used in the clinical trial. But within our product range, we use a variety of concentrations. So if you look through our moisturizers, our body lotions, our skin creams, hand creams, we even have a serum for your face. The concentration vary greatly. So you actually give the user the option of trying different concentrations.
Right, okay. I suppose it's linked to this. You mentioned that some products that you can import have a higher level, a higher percentage of CBD in them.
Oh, right.
So I suppose, is it that the higher percentage, the more effective they are, or is that,
Yeah, so a lot of it, so that's actually a very interesting question, and it goes a lot deeper because a lot of it actually depends on how much is being absorbed by your skin. So it's something that is being absorbed by the topical layers. If it's in a gel formulation, it potentially could actually become transdermal and end up in your blood plasma. So it really depends on the formulation. And to date, like, it's very difficult to see exactly how much is absorbed. So even if you use a very concentrated product, you know, what percentage is absorbed, research hasn't gone that far yet to tell us exactly how much it is. All that we know, and like from the clinical trial as well, is that using CBD ointment topically does actually make a difference topically and cutaneously to actually show a difference in reduction of scars and reduction of blemishes, psoriasis, acne, all of those kinds of conditions. Yes, the concentration is important, but obviously we don't exceed certain amounts as well, and we try to keep everything affordable for one, because I mean, if your body is only able to absorb a certain amount, you don't want to go and buy something that's got tens of thousands of milligrams of CBD and you're only absorbing a certain amount anyway. So it's actually, you know, quite important to look at that, look at the value, look at the cost. And as far as imported products go, as far as I know, it's the THC that you should really be more concerned about. And then the quality of the CBD, you know, where is it coming from? Has the extract been extracted? You know, are there no residual solvents? Were there no dioxins or PCBs or anything left over from the herbicides and pesticides? You know, where was it grown? Was it grown in a proper grow facility? You know, where are the people actually getting the extract from? Because especially if you're putting something on your skin, you want to make sure that it was done with stringent quality, and that the CBD extract used is really, really purified, and that it can be backed up and validated with scientific lab reports.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. To treat anxiety, how do you know where to start? How long do you give it to see the results or know if it's working?
Okay, so interesting question. I mean, to be honest, most of our clients actually start using this product for anxiety. I use it for pain, but I don't know, everybody tells me that I've been very anxious, so I've been taking more recently. So basically, where would you start? So I would say, you know, we try to tell people not to exceed 20 milligrams per day, because that's really what SAHPRA and the Government of Health have stipulated, because we know that that's got a very good safety profile. And so you would start, like, let's say, for example, you're using our 1,500 milligram drops. That basically means you would need to take 8 drops per day to get your full 20 milligrams. But you wouldn't necessarily start with full 8 drops per day. Most people would take like maybe 2 drops in the morning, and then maybe 2 drops around midday, and they would do that for about 2 or 3 days. And after like maybe 3 days, they would increase it to maybe 4 drops in the morning, and like maybe even take 4 drops like an hour before bed if they were having you know, problems sleeping. And so they would incrementally build up to taking the 8 drops per day and kind of see how their bodies respond to that. And it would take, I would say, about 1 to 2 weeks till you figure out your optimum dosage. So if you're taking it consistently every day, you'd figure out what's the best dosage for you and what's the best time of day to take it. Like me personally, I can't take it before bed. If I take my CBD 5 minutes before I go to bed, I don't have such a great sleep. If I take 6 drops at midday, for some reason, that's how it works with my body personally. I feel more relaxed. And by the time I go to bed, I have a more restful sleep. I also fall asleep quicker. And the days that I don't take it, I actually find that I don't have such a restful sleep, and the quality of my sleep is different. But for me personally, so I need to take it at midday. And then we've got other clients, for example, who take 8 drops just before bed, and they say it makes me sleep like a baby. So it's, I would say, you know, start slow, start low, start with about 3-4 drops a day, stagger your doses, try different times of day, incrementally increase it to the maximum for, like I said, in our range, that would be 8 drops, and then kind of see how you feel from there. If you're using other CBD products or other ranges, they're all made quite differently. So just make sure you're checking what the milligram per mil is. So how many milligrams are there in the bottle? Because some are 30 ml bottles, you get 10 ml bottles, you get 15 ml bottles, and then you get some that have 1,000 milligrams in, some that have 300 milligrams in, some that have 3,000 milligrams in. So it gets very tricky for a consumer really trying to understand how many drops to take, how many mils to take. So try and work out the milligrams per mil, and then work out, you know, how many drops that equates to for you to not exceed the maximum dosage.
Okay. And I think a final question that I can see here, Joanne van Rensburg is asking, is there a certain brand that you would recommend for clients on the market that looking at fibromyalgia, correctly, or underactive thyroid?
Yeah, so again, I mean, I'm going to recommend our brand first. So yes, you can try using it. We do have patients with or people for fibromyalgia using it as well. And again, because it's just so good for a relief from stress and anxiety, and that's, you know, part of some of the underlying conditions for people that have fibromyalgia. So yes, of course. I mean, and like I say, if you need more information, my email is on there. Please contact me directly. You know, if you're trying to understand dosages and what to take, if you're on chronic and prescription medication and you're concerned about that as well, you know, we recommend that you speak to your doctor with specific medication. But on the whole, for most of it, 20 milligrams a day is it's a very low dosage, and it's got a good safety profile. So you can comfortably take it. But if you are concerned, and like I say, you've got other health conditions and underlying conditions, please email me directly. I happily talk you through what you can take, what doses you can take, what's safe, etc.
Okay. Just going back to the anxiety topic again, we've got a question asking, will it work from the first time you use it, or does it need a few days to get into your system?
Yeah, so that's interesting. We have some people who've said it's worked straight away. For me, I must say it took a couple of days for me to actually feel a little bit of a difference. So again, it just depends on everybody, and everybody's individual. It depends on the product, the strength of the product, how you're taking it, and what time of day you're taking it. A lot of people say it takes them about a week, and also by then they know exactly what's the best dose and the best time of day for them to take it. And other people have said, you know, like, wow, I took it in the morning and by the evening I felt great. I actually have a client who was actually monitoring. She struggled with sleep, and she was actually monitoring her, she created a whole chart, and she was monitoring from the day she started taking it up until months later, how her sleep cycles were changing. And she found that she was taking like, so she would wake up, like, for example, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she would not be able to fall asleep again. And since she started taking it, and the longer she took it, the longer and longer her sleep cycles were. And so she wouldn't wake up at 3 o'clock, she would wake up at like 5 o'clock. And she would also find that she fell asleep quicker, and that her quality of sleep was quicker. But that was incremental, and she monitored this like over a period of months. And she was actually like so profoundly surprised to actually see that how it worked, and how her sleep cycles actually improved and got longer and longer and longer over time. So again, like whether you're taking it for sleep or anxiety, it does depend on the individual. but I would say give it at least 1 to 2 weeks. And if it's not working again, call me directly, email me, and we can have a talk and we can have a think about what else you're taking in conjunction with it that might be affecting it.
Okay. I think we've got one last question. Although a great endorsement from Celeste Peters, loving your products. Would you recommend any of your products for people suffering from bloating? Would it help normalize the bacteria in your gut?
Yes, so it's got, I'm trying to think of the exact word, anti-emetic, I'm getting it wrong, I'm not sure. But yes, it has been shown to help with gut health tremendously, not directly with the flora itself and the probiotics, but yes, for people struggling with gut health, again, also just from inflammation and things like that in your, inflammatory bowel conditions, etc. It has shown to be quite useful from that regard. So yes, if you are struggling with gut health, I would definitely recommend something that you can try.
Awesome. Okay. That seems to be it with the questions. If I could ask you to share your screen as well, yes. René.
I wasn't sure that's long. Let me just...
Natasha can do a bit.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Just means Natasha can do her bit. Thank you very much for clearing up a few of the myths and explaining the benefits. It's been very, very, very informative. So thank you for that, René. If anybody has any other questions, please do email us at info@probeauty.coza, and we can always pass those queries on if you haven't got René's contacts already written down. And I've got a couple of email addresses, René, where people are asking for that report. So I'll forward those to you as well in a little while. So there we go. Okay. Thank you one and all for attending. We hope you're all enjoyed the benefit of that, and it's all, going to change your world. Thank you. And thank you again, René.
It's such a pleasure, and good luck everyone, and good luck with the rest of your day, and keep strong. I believe things will get better.
Indeed. They can't get any worse. Thanks so much. Okay. Thank you, René.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye.